Hello, hello, Gutsy women. Welcome to today. It's a Thursday here and mid-afternoon in the UK. And I have today with me the very lovely Christine Bernat. I hope I pronounced your second name correctly. And Christine is a stress management coach and a master EFT practitioner. So if you've never heard of EFT, if you've never had a stress management coach in your life, I'm going to ask Christine to actually tell us who she is, where she's actually situated in the world, and what is the story, Christine, behind what brought you to doing what you do today.
Thank you so much, Dee. It's an honor to be here with you and to exchange. And stress management came about because in 2017, I crashed. And when I say I crashed, like it was a complete crash, my brain wasn't functioning. My body, I had hardly, like, I was in a terrible, terrible, terrible place. I'd say I was functioning at about 5%, and doctors were putting me on sick leave for life, and I have all these diagnoses that I was picking up, and came to realize that stress was the leading cause of all my illnesses. So I had to find ways, right? Oh, I forgot to say that I'm from the province of Quebec in Canada, and I'm excited to be with you in Europe. Um, yeah, and so it's really interesting how the brain works. So I've been reading a lot about the brain, and I have a better understanding. And as an EFT master practitioner, EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. So it's to release those emotions, and we start picking them up. Most people will say from 0 on. I say from -9 months and on. Because if your mom has a trauma during the pregnancy, it is a possibility that you have picked up the stress of that trauma, the emotion that she felt, or the lack of hope, or whatever it is that she felt. There's a possibility that that is stored in your unconscious. And whatever is stored in our unconscious plays 24/7 in the background. A lot of people like to have a radio playing, but are they really listening to everything on it? Of course not. But the unconscious plays over and over this stuff. So you're trying to take steps forward, change your life, bring about some amazing things in your life, and gloop, the self sabotage kicks in, the procrastination. So you're triggered into a fear mode, but it may not be about what's happening today, but it can be about what happened to you yesterday, right? Or before. And it can be because of all the, I call them little t traumas, but there's also major traumas that we go through, that our brain to survive might have erased the information.
Mm.
So it's only in the unconscious, which is part of my journey. Because my mom went through so much trauma, her brain would disconnect. It's like she would not register the information into the memory of what had happened. So you ask her, how's everything going? Oh, great, great. Everything's good. However, she's going through a lot of health challenges. She's going through, a lot of things. She's feeling lonely. But she won't name these things because she has been in that pattern for 86 years, right?
Mm.
And when you are over, when you have quite a few decades, so okay, I'll just say it, I'm 60, and I'm discovering the depths of all this. And um, when I work with clients, I love to release that. And they just feel so much freedom and expansion and calmness and groundness, because now they're connected really to their heart, not all these false beliefs that were created by their mind, or by what happened, or by what was said to them, or you know So I'm going on and on. I don't
You
know if
know,
I answered all the parts of your
you did,
question.
yes.
If I forgot any, please let me know.
Yeah, you did actually, Christine, because you know that the fascinating thing is that many people don't realize is that we can actually pick up the stress from our mum when we are in the womb and as we're being born. And there is a stress hormone. The body will be going into stress at childbirth quite naturally as well. And not only the stress that has come through the umbilical cord from her hormones as she's gone through her pregnancy for 9 months. And so, you know, if we are stressed in pregnancy, we end up having a stressed baby because it's those stress hormones have gone into the baby through the umbilical cord and into as it's growing in the womb. And so it's fascinating to actually get to the grips of that's what actually can and does happen. And then we wonder why we have a fractious baby, one that doesn't sleep well, one that cries quite a bit, you know, one that settles well or whatever. It's all around this transference of that hormone balance.
100%. And I'm so glad you said that, because I truly believe that the best time to work on you is when you decide you want to get pregnant, or before that. You know that later on in 5, 10 years, you want to have children. That is the best time to work on yourself, because you can do it nice and slowly. And if you have children, mine are 25 and 33, and I've been on my journey for 5 years of, well, 5, 6, 7, 8 now. Oh boy, time flies. We're in 2025. Okay. And the more I heal within what's going on and release, like it's really about releasing, letting go the stuff that doesn't even belong to me and the stuff that belongs to me, the more my daughter and my son, you can feel it. They're happier in their lives. They have more joy in their lives. They're more connected to who they are. They're making decisions based on what makes sense to them, and not just because I was a people pleaser, just like my mom. But the other aspect that we need to remember is that dads also, you can also pick up things from your dad. So when you're looking at your journey, look at both parents. And when you work on yourself, what motivated me to really work on myself was for my kids. That motivation was so high that no matter how challenging it was, it gave me the courage and the bravery to step forward and find the solutions. Because when the doctor tells you you're going to be a sick leave for life, I'm like, there's no way. I was hiking Mount Washington 3 years ago. There is no way I'm on sick leave. Can't walk. My feet swell. You know, I'm non-functional. I weigh 90. I went down, I think, to 97 pounds. Like, it was crazy. And my brain, I couldn't even make full sentences, couldn't read more than 3 words without getting a splitting headache. So I was really non-functional,
Mm.
and
So that,
sleeping 20 hours a day.
wow, wow.
Yeah.
So that it was all stress and anxiety related.
I believe it was. And I discovered in the last 7, 8 years that I was a highly sensitive person. What does that mean? That means if you're driving along or going for a walk, you're in a good mood, and all of a sudden you're angry. All of a sudden you hear in your bitching in your head, right? And you're like, what's this? It's not your energy, it's somebody else's. So you've picked that up as well. So can you imagine? Because when people, you can go talk with your friend and on a path in the woods, even if it's in the woods, like, or in the city, you'll get a lot more energy. And it's like the energy comes out of you, because then you feel better because you released it while you were talking about it. Well, if you're the person behind that highly sensitive, and if you have children like this, all of a sudden we feel that energy, and it's not ours, but we're like a sponge, and unconsciously unconsciously, we are picking this up until we become aware, until we're like, so when I drive, when I go for walks, I always need to be conscious of, is this mine or not? And so through this process in 2021, maybe before I get there, I was also certified as a master, as a Telera energy systems healer. So that was a huge 2 year journey, which was amazing because that's where, with the EFT, which was to reduce the fears, right? And the Telera, which was more learning about the energy within me and around me and developing my intuition at a very deep level, I was able to hike again, hike mountains. I've done every mountain in my neighborhood, and we have a lot within 2 hour drive. So um, I'm having a relapse now, and I know that again, it's because I need to break through something that I have resistance. So when we have um, this physical pain showing up, if we've released the layers, there may be new layers that we're finally ready to accept, to release them. And mine are from 0 to 2 right now. Well, -9 to 2 is where my focus is right now. And there's so much stuff that I picked up and I had released there, but I had not paid attention as a highly sensitive person. What did I pick up back then that wasn't mine? Like a huge amount of stuff. My mom was under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress at that point in her life. You know, they were living in people's homes that were on holidays until their house was ready. Like, can you imagine? And you'd be there for 2 weeks or a month. And my brother was a year old. So can you imagine with a 1 year old who's starting to walk and wants to touch everything like a 1, 2 year old? So it was really, really challenging. It was a lot of stress and everything had to be so perfect, right? So I picked all that up and didn't realize I had. So now I'm just releasing a lot of that and feeling better and better every day.
Because it is a journey that we all have to keep working on, because we get new stresses coming along, we get stuff that we missed previously if we've done some work, and there's things that just stayed quite deeply hidden that we've got to unravel. There's something quite not right, but I don't know what it is kind of feeling, and then we've got to start digging again. And I'm really glad that you touched on how the stress and the anxiety affect the physical health, because this is such a powerful message that I want to get across to people of when we, there may well be some practical things, some real life things, such as the chemicals in the diet now, in the food that we're all eating and that kind of thing, and how to be discerning when we choose what we're putting into our bodies and on our bodies and all of that kind of thing. But 85% of what generally causes us dis-ease is that dis-ease in our emotions and our thought processes. So I'm really pleased that we're having this conversation today, because you've really put it into a real context, a real story of how powerfully that stress and anxiety affected you to such a level that you couldn't walk, couldn't string a sentence together, whatever. And now you've worked on that and you can. And was there anything that you did with your diet, with your supplementation, or anything else that you did? Was it purely around the stress?
Well, what happened was I had found a naturopath who had been a doctor in France, because I didn't want my family complaining about going the natural way. And when she came to Quebec, she decided to become a naturopath. And I was taking everything. I had a very, very strict diet with zero sugar in it. And when I say zero, not even rice or corn. Okay. One portion of blueberry a day, or one small apple, or half a pink grapefruit. That was my only sugar. All the rest, and I'm vegetarian, so it was all legumes and nuts and veggies. That was my diet. And I held it for a very long time, I think about 5 years, because I really wanted to. And I was taking all these supplements and everything, but my emotions kept going like this. So that's when in 2019, I started my training to be an EFT master practitioner and started realizing how damaged my brain was from all the stress and trauma. And I mean, I was a elementary school teacher, a bit of middle school teaching in there for 30 years. So I knew my times table like this. And if you asked me, Christine, what's 4 of them for? I would get a headache and would not be able to tell you. What's 2 times 2? I don't know. I don't know. Don't ask me, you know? So that's how fried my brain was, which is really interesting that trauma does this. And there's an awesome author, Dr. Fraser. She wrote she wrote a book about about the brain, and I read it, and I listened to it, and it was spot on. Everything I went through, what happens to the brain, how the brain crashes, and why it crashes. So people keep taking advantage of you, people keep manipulating you, betraying you, and you're always nice and calm, and then all of a sudden you just bam, you explode, you explode, you explode. You cannot stay calm anymore. The trauma has accumulated so much that even though you're a super nice person and you're super, you've always been, or mostly always been, yeah, we all have our moments, right? I've said this many times, but in 2020, my daughter said, Mom, I couldn't stand you anymore. I needed, I see I have to plug my computer and give me a second here. And she said, you were so dramatic. I couldn't take it anymore. Because at 16, she had left to stay with her dad. Mm. And I'm like, oh, really? Well, I'm glad you find me better. And so a few months later, I'm in the car. My son's driving. And I said to him, oh, do you find that, I'm dramatic? I was dramatic. He says, Mom, you weren't dramatic. You were neurotic. So it's also our perception and being willing to accept what it is that really is stuck in the back, in that amygdala. So the amygdala is that part of the brain that brings you into the fight, flight, fear, fawn mode. And it's really challenging to be able to hack that and stay present in your prefrontal cortex, right? In your logical mind that's able to say, hey, this doesn't make sense. You can't be yelling at the mailman because he won't give you your vitamins. Okay, I did that. But I had asked to have them delivered at my neighbor's because I knew I wouldn't be home. And then they couldn't leave it to me. And I put my neighbor's address, but the mail lady knew me and knew it was the wrong address. So she brought it back to the mail center and then they wouldn't give it to me. And I needed my vitamins. Anyway, he finally gave me my vitamins when clients started backing. The lineup was big. I mean, they were vitamins. They were not anyway.
Not contraband.
Yeah, exactly. So as I worked with clients who had a lot of stress and anxiety, and was able to support them on their journey, I discovered they needed something because EFT has a protocol. And sometimes, and clients can't learn that protocol because they're in their fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode. And so I developed in 2021. Okay. So I developed in 2021 a technique that I call snap, tap, and zap. So it's been created for kids in a 2D video animation, 1 to 2 minutes. It's also, I call it Snap, Tap, Zap for All, where I'm explaining the technique in depth, but it's so easy to do. It takes 9 seconds and it hacks your amygdala so that you can come back to the present moment. Mm. And right now, if you have dads or grandpas that are stressing you out with your child, refer them to me. I have the Ripple Effect of Love for Dads and Families on YouTube. You can find me easily there. And I teach um, dads how to self regulate and leave a legacy of love.
Mm, that's
Because the
wonderful.
world has changed so much where dads now are not necessarily the breadwinners.
Mhm.
Often it's the women, but the dad has not been trained how to deal with being a non breadwinner. And it causes a lot of stress in the unconscious, which will come out with fighting about the toothbrush or the toothpaste or, and
Mm.
it doesn't make any sense, right? So this is where I can really help your husbands or
Mm.
partners just get it together again, because I've been able to get it together and I've got amazing people who have had amazing successes, and you don't need 100 appointments to do that, and that's what's really cool.
It is. It's great, isn't it, that you don't need that long. Psychotherapy. I'm a psychotherapist, and I I studied to become a hypnotherapist as well, to speed up that process of psychotherapy, because it was just taking too long for people. And hypnotherapy is a wonderful, wonderful tool, and you'll understand how beautifully that works as well, being an EFT practitioner, because we use a similar thought processes around the amygdala, the fight, flight, the freeze, the fawn, all of that kind of thing, this survival mechanism, and we just work with it in a different way. So definitely, 100%, we need to speed up that process for people. So they've been suffering long enough. We need to actually make it short and sweet and successful. So
Yeah,
wonderful. And
powerful. We want
yeah,
results, right? If in the first
yeah,
appointment with your coach that you choose, you do not get results, I suggest you find another one.
mm,
And that's
yeah,
how I
yeah,
think how important I think it is. I mean, you're not going to solve the major situation, but you're going to see results right away. If you
yes.
don't see results, keep looking for the right practitioner, the right coach that can really work with you so that you move forward, that you're not like stuck in whatever stuckness you're in.
Mm, yes. There's
Yeah.
always, when you leave that room, there's you must feel lighter, and as if you've actually been through a process that makes you feel really good and confident enough to come back and keep going with it as well. So that's the way to do it,
Yes,
definitely. Yeah,
exactly. 100% agree with you, Dee, on
yeah,
that.
exactly. Christine, this has been amazing. Thank you so, so much. I love EFT, and I'm pleased that you managed to explain it so simply and easily for anybody who's never done it. They may have heard of the letters EFT,
Yes.
but they may never have experienced it or understood exactly how the process works. So thank you so much for doing that, and for being such a gutsy woman today,
Thank
and
you.
getting through your own health issues with
Yeah.
strength and resilience and empowerment now. So thank you so much indeed. And anyone who's listening today, please contact Christine. She's in the group. She's happy to connect with you and to answer any questions or comments. And Christine, if you would like to put your details into, I'll tag you in the space where I'd like you to put them.
Perfect.
I don't
Yep,
want them to
that
get
sounds great.
lost down the thread, but
Yes.
yeah, so that everybody knows where they can find those. And we will see you again. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you. And I want to tell all these women, if I did it, you can. So
That's
find that, it's like finding the hope and going beyond that into the many actions that will bring you results. Just one baby mini step that you can take today, not those giant steps. Take it tiny steps. And that's how I have come to succeed, is how to break it down, break it down, break it down, because the brain needs dopamine, and to feed it dopamine, you need successes, and many steps offer us successes. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here,
You're
and
welcome.
take great care of yourself.
Thank you. I'll just end the live stream just a moment.